All right, this module, we are going to talk about team climate. And even if you've never studied team climate before, you probably had a pretty good idea of what it was as soon as you heard the term. But in this module, we're going to dive in and look at a few little details and little aspects that maybe you hadn't thought of before. So first thing I want you to kind of recall is TMI, because that's going to come up. That's going to be a really good way to understand this, is why team climate impacts our team efficiency and team success. So keep TMI in mind as we continue. So one of the things that is a little confusing is that team climate and psychological climate seem like the same thing. But really the big difference that we need to know for this class is that team climate is more of a group agreement, and psychological climate is individual. So team climate is kind of when the psychological climates come together and we agree upon them. But the psychological climate is more, again, it's more individual, right? So it's what that one teammate is experiencing. With both of these, it's really important that we know that perception is more important than reality. I gave you an example in the reading about when I used to work in the restaurant, and people would have not been waiting a long time, but they felt like they've been waiting a long time. When I first started managing, I really wanted to correct them. Excuse me, it's only been this many minutes, but it didn't matter. What was more important was that the perception is for me to understand their perception. It was about their experience and not about the actual reality. And if we think about it, even we were pretty not very far into this semester, but a lot of what we learned is that being on a team is about the experience, right? It's not always about that reality of the scoreboard or what's actually happening. It's that experience that colors how we see that team. And that's the case here with team climate as well. So perception is more important than reality. Now, when team climate can only exist when team members agree on it. So that means that all of the psychological climates that each individual kind of brings to that team, those are important. But when we want to establish and understand team climate, everybody has to agree on it. So if we want to say it's an efficient or positive team climate, great, but everyone has to agree on that. Everyone has to perceive that it is a positive team climate. Otherwise, you've got one person or two who doesn't feel like it is a positive team climate, and therefore it can't be a positive team climate because not everyone agreed, okay? So our members have to acknowledge it and agree upon it. Sometimes we do that explicitly, but more often than not, we do it implicitly, like it's just kind of unspoken, right? Maybe some people talk about it, maybe it's just kind of an unspoken note about the team climate. Okay, so keep that in mind as well. And then the last thing you need to remember, here are those gears again, that perception, and especially the perception of an efficient team, leads to individual team member satisfaction. So let's revisit TMI. When members perceive that the team is functioning efficiently, that means that they feel like the task is getting accomplished. There's your T. They probably feel like the members are working together really well. That's the M. And because of those two things, they're more satisfied. There's your I. So when we feel like a team is functioning efficiently, we are more personally satisfied. There's our key right there. So we're going to talk in class about how to build that. Like, what are the factors that we can control? How do we influence this perception to help people feel like and perceive that our team is efficient, right? So if you have any questions between now and then, you know where to find me. And otherwise, we'll talk about this a little bit more in class, okay?